Hey, congratulations, you did the right thing clicking on the link. Now, if you want to do yourself a favor, watch the rest of the videos. Once you finish watching the rest of the videos, go buy yourself a kettlebell and meet me Facebook Live weekday mornings, 6 a.m. for the Swingers Club. There it is.
Collectively, those four muscles are called the rotator cuff. Tearing your rotator cuff is because you didn't connect this bone to this bone before you did whatever it was. Imagine if you ever, when you were a kid, you take a rock and you think you're going to throw it as far as you can, and you throw it, whoosh, and then you go, oh crap, what did I do? It's because you didn't connect the arm to your shoulder. I'm going to show you what it looks like to fire just the rotator cuff muscles. Watch. 1, 2. Now my arms are connected to my body. Release. Connect. Once it's connected, once these four muscles fire and pull the head of the humerus up against the scapula, then the big muscles, right, trapezius and pectoralis and your lats in the back, they are the movers. They allow, once you connect it, you don't throw a football like that. With your arm, you connect your arm to your body and use the powerful muscles of your legs to throw it. This is one of the most important things you could learn. This is worth the free price of admission right here. Connect your arms to your shoulders. It's going to make your punches powerful. A good boxer will let you punch them all day long to get close enough to connect, boom, with their whole body and knock you out. It's true of everything. You don't swing a baseball bat like this. You connect and use your hips. It's all about this, connecting your shoulder. I tell people, if you're going to pick something up, if you can pinch it with your fingers, you do not need to worry about connecting your shoulder. But if you have to grip it, like a gallon of milk out of the fridge, seat your shoulder. I tell people, make a fist at both ends of your arm. So if I'm going to pick up this kettlebell down here, I'm going to seat my shoulder first and pick it up. And then I keep it seated the entire time I'm using the kettlebell or holding whatever it is that you're carrying, bale of hay, dead body. Once you set it down, then you can release your shoulder. Here are the things you need to think about. Point your big toe in the same direction as the bend of your knee. Let's do it with one foot. Bend the knee directly tracking over your big toe. Now imagine holding a heavy weight. This will work fine. If you turn your foot in and track straight forward, now imagine what that would do to your knee. Same thing if you turned it out. When you swing a kettlebell, you're putting both legs, both feet under heavy load. Those toes need to be tracking directly, or the knees need to be tracking directly over the toes. So the feet should be pointed straight forward or slightly out. The next thing we're going to talk about is the knee. When you sit back into the kettlebell swing, it's as if you're sitting on a chair, sitting into a chair. You fold here at what's called the inguinal line. Chop. Set the hips back. Now watch what happens to my knee when I do that. The knee stays still in space as I from the knee down, this whole thing is motionless. It's like I'm wearing a pair of ski boots. If you've got a pair of ski boots, put them on and do this exercise and you'll understand. It's exactly like we're going to sit in a chair. And then when you come back up, lean forward to put your weight over the heels, push from the hips to stand. It's incredibly important that we keep our back straight and core fired to keep it stabilized in that position while we do our kettlebell. Or picking up anything for that matter. We are told when we're kids, lift with your legs, not with your back, and keep your back straight, but there's really nobody had any really good explanation of what that meant. So here's the way to find it. It's quite simple. You're going to stand with your back against the wall, and you're going to put your tailbone, the back of your head, and your mid-back up against the wall. There it is, straight back. You can simulate that with a stick. Just place one hand on the tailbone, one on the back of the head. Now, you're going to hinge at the hip, keeping your back straight. Now our back is full of little joints. In between each vertebrae, there's movement. So we have the ability to make all of these complex movements, twisting and rotating and bending. But imagine holding a heavy weight and making these movements. Big mistake. When your body is under load, it is incredibly important to keep your posture straight. This is true of all athletics. You want to be more effective in your sport, whatever it is. Focus on proper posture. It doesn't matter if we're talking about running, wrestling, golf, baseball, you name it. Posture is key. Posture is key to strength. In martial arts, if you want to weaken your opponent, break down their posture. If you want to become stronger, increase the straightness of your posture and tighten your core. When we lift kettlebells, at all times your core has to be fired. Okay, next thing we have to do before we lift a kettlebell is determine what size kettlebell to lift. Here's the general rule on that. According to Pavel Katsulin, the guy that brought this stuff here from Russia, we owe a great deal to him, for sure, for bringing this information across the pond. The general rule is, according to the Russians, a 1 pood kettlebell, which is 35 pounds, would be the size kettlebell for the average guy. A strong man, is going to take a 1.5 pood kettlebell, 53 pounds, and a very strong man is going to use a 70 pound kettlebell, 2 pood. And then with women, they recommend the average woman would use an 8 kilogram kettlebell. A strong woman would use a 12 kilogram kettlebell, and a very strong woman would use a 16 kilogram kettlebell. Now, what the difference between average, strong, and very strong are, I'll leave it up to you. But I'm not a big guy. I'm 165 pounds, 5'8". I use a 16 kilogram kettlebell, and it's every bit all I need. So those are fairly good guidelines. So that being said, we're going to take our appropriately sized kettlebell, and we're going to place it on the ground between our feet with our toes slightly pointed out.
We're going to fire our core. We're going to fold at the hip, at the inguinal line, keeping our knees still, sit back. We're going to place our hands on the kettlebell, seat our shoulders, grip the kettlebell gently. Now you're going to push into your heels as you drive your hips forward to lift the bell. Keep your core fired, fold at the hips, sit back again. Set the bell down and release it all. Perfect. That's the deadlift, and it's the basis for all of the exercises to come. They're all include at least a piece of that. But the principles of the lift are the same for all of them. So you have to become very familiar with all of those pieces. Every exercise you're going to learn keeps the core fired, the shoulders seated, sitting back into the hips, keeping the knees as still as possible, keeping the knees in line with the toes, all of these things. So practice just the deadlift for a day or two, and move on to the next exercise. Today we're going to talk about flexibility. It's a funny subject because most people don't understand it at all. If you ask somebody what does the word flexibility mean, they kind of scratch their head. Will vaguely come up with some sort of thing about bendability or show you something, or but really think about it. What does the word mean? Flexibility means the ability to flex. It's entirely about muscular contraction. Let me explain. Your body is just a collection of bones, and where they come together is a joint. Every joint has at least two muscles that activate the joint. And if we use the elbow as an example, I have a muscle on one side of the joint here and a muscle on the other side of the joint here. And the one on the top here, the bicep, when I contract it, the muscles, all they do is shorten. So it attaches here, the origination point of the muscle is here, its origin, so I'm going to put my thumb on it. Then I'm going to take my index finger, I'm going to put it on the insertion point, which is just past my elbow. And now, when those 2 points come together, that shortening is the action of the muscle. So, if I, for instance, can't straighten my arm all the way out, people would say, oh, I lack flexibility in my arm. Well, what they're really saying is that I lack the ability to flex this muscle, my tricep, hard enough to overcome my bicep. Or if I couldn't close it all the way, same thing. If somebody lacks the flexibility, the ability to flex their bicep, it would show up by a tightness of the tricep. So really, it's a muscular imbalance on one side of the joint. The place that we really need to address this, especially as Westerners, because we sit so much, is in the hip. So if you think about this joint, put your feet together, keep your back straight, and fold at the hip, it's like a giant arm, right? Muscles on this side of the joint, muscles on this side of the joint. And it's these that we have to think about, because most people walk around with their posture, with their hips kicked back slightly, because of sitting all the time. So what we do, and one of the things that kettlebell is going to really be a great assistance in, is opening up these muscles. So here's what you're going to do. We're going to do what we did before with the index finger and thumb. You're going to put your thumbs just above your glutes, and then your index finger on your glutes. When you bring those together, it pushes your hips forward. put your thumbs on top of your hips, sort of on the lower abdomen, and then your middle finger on the upper thigh. When you bring those together, the following action happens. So in this position, I'm firing my psoas muscle. That's the muscle on the opposite side of the glute. And the harder I fire it, the more it stretches my glute. And now if I go the other way, fire my glute, the harder I fire my glutes, the more it opens psoas. You know, a lot of gyms lock up their kettlebells because people hurt themselves with them. Don't be one of them. Make sure you go through all of the initial videos. Make sure you put all of these principles in place. Everything about the shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, keeping your core fired. It's vitally important. Now, have your feet on either side of the kettlebell, slightly pointed out. Fold back into the hips, grab hold of the kettlebell. Seat your shoulders. Now, to start the kettlebell moving, we're going to swing it back. We're going to kind of hike it like a football. Now, at that point, my forearms are in contact with the inside of my leg. When I push my hips forward, that's going to throw my arms and the kettlebell forward. And then gravity takes over, the kettlebell comes back down. I hinge at the hip, sit back. My arms are going to be in line with my spine as much as possible. And then I'm going to push my hips forward again with my arms in contact with my leg. This is where people mess this up. It's the hips that drive the motion. The motion gets, the energy gets transferred into your arms through that point of contact with your legs. And the kettlebell rises. It looks like this. I want you to try just one. Do it a couple of times and then park the kettlebell again. One big mistake that a lot of people do is they try to make this about the muscles of their arms. They try to pick it up. Don't do it. Your arms are like ropes. This is the way that I explain it to people. It's like a swing set. If my arm is the rope that holds the swing, you're going to take this hand and you're going to push the swing. Right? The rope's not doing any work. It's all the push, which is analogous to your hips. Right? So you want to think of that kettlebell and your arms as the ropes on a swing. And then you're going to push. You're going to keep your shoulders seated in their socket the entire time. The top of the kettlebell swing feels to me like skiing, water skiing, if you've ever done that. You can't do it like this. You have to straighten your posture up all the way, shoulders back and seated. Boom! One solid piece. That's what you want to feel at the top of your kettlebell swing. I'm going to illustrate that you don't use the muscles in your arms. Watch this. I'm going to take my belt, put it through the handle of the kettlebell. Length exactly the same as my arm. Now, I'm going to hike it back like a football. There it is. You don't even need the muscles of your arms at all. Okay. What I'd like you to do, the last piece that you're going to add, is you're going to take both hands on that handle of that kettlebell, and you're going to imagine that you're bending the metal of that kettlebell. That's going to really seat your shoulders in nice. You're going to fire your pinkies. You're going to try and like make a fist from your pinky. It's going to fire your lats as you do it. It's the last piece. Practice, practice, practice. Congratulations on watching to the end. Do that with the rest of the videos, and you might just get your shit together. You know, nobody gets out of here alive, but the kettlebells are like the fountain of fucking youth, man. If you do this stuff regularly, it will change your life. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, comment below, make sure you turn notifications on, and share this on your page, man. Thanks.